Welcome to another edition of Larry King Now. We're still in New York, and tonight we're talking about Suits, not the kind who work upstairs here in this hotel or at the network, but a brilliant television show. USA Network's award nominated the critically acclaimed, top-rated original drama series. I'm joined by two of the stars. They are Patrick J. Adams, he plays Mike Ross, and Meghan Markle, who plays Rachel Zane. The third season currently airs Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. on the USA Network. Say someone had never seen Suits. We all know what a suit is. How would you describe the show?
I would say the show is basically about mentorship, and from my point of view, it's about a young guy who's sort of trying to make his way in the world. So over the course of the first two seasons, you've had a kid who really didn't know his way around
in a law firm,
around the law firm, in a high-stakes corporate New York corporate law firm. He sneaks his way into the firm. He never went to law school.
He's not a lawyer.
He's not actually a lawyer. He's lied to get the job, and now he's finding himself trying to make his way in that world.
It is a comedy.
It is both. I think it's what is commonly referred to as a dramedy. Now,
dramedy.
It is a dramedy.
It is a dramedy.
And who Meghan is Rachel?
Rachel is the paralegal at the firm.
Seductive?
I don't know. Do you think so, Larry?
Just a comment.
Just throwing it out there.
No, I think she's really savvy. She has this encyclopedic knowledge of the law, and she is sort of the go-to girl for everything that people need at the firm. She also happens to be the love interest to Mike Ross, and
she's the woman behind the man. Every time Mike needs anything to happen, she's the one that actually
Are they
helps him
living
make
together?
it happen. Not yet. This season is actually, at the end of last season was the first time that he had been fully honest with her about his secret, and so now into the third season they have a lot more material where they're becoming closer.
Well, why is this show? It's the biggest show on USA. Why is it working?
I think it's so successful because of the characters, really. I mean, I've said it before. I think the way that they're constructed, if it was a show about a hospital or about a school or anything else, it really doesn't matter.
Every place has Suits.
Every place has Suits, but I really do think, like, the sexiness of the show and the intrigue of the show is the fact that these characters are so layered and people really relate to them. They know someone, or they want to know someone like they see on that show. So I think that's what brings people back, and then the New York of it all is pretty enticing.
The promos are hysterical.
We have fun. We have a lot of fun with that stuff.
Entices you to want to watch the show. How'd you get the part?
It was the basic LA situation. I'd been auditioning for a long time, and then I got fired from a job a couple months before this script came through. And
fired?
I got fired from a job, which is happens pretty regularly.
For ineptness?
For just total ineptness.
Ineptness.
A common thing that happens with
show?
shows. It was a sitcom. And I think I'm funny when I maybe want to be, but with this particular script, I wasn't particularly funny at all. So
you
the
were out
table
of work.
read, I was out of work, I got fired, and I thought, I think I might just give this up and move on and try something else. And then this script came through, and the pilot episode of this show is about a young guy, finding his way in a situation where he gets to look at his peers and say, give me this job, give me this shot, I've worked so hard for this. And so I was sort of primed for that moment to sit in front of a bunch of network executives and say, trust me, I've got this, just give me my shot.
They hire you right out the audition?
It was almost right away.
How did you get the job?
Just went in and auditioned for it. I think Patrick was the first one who was cast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd gone and auditioned. I thought it was one of the worst auditions I had ever done, and didn't realize that behind closed doors they disagreed with me on that fact and brought me back to test for it. I tested with Patrick.
I was behind that closed door when they disagreed with her. She came in. We had known each other from another failed pilot long ago that we had worked on together. And so when she came in, everybody, she laughed. I knew she was nervous and thought she hadn't done well. And as soon as the door closed, their eyes went wide and they were like, well, that's it. And they're done.
Can that work, that you think someone could be a lawyer without being a lawyer?
Well, the tough part for this relationship is she's working so hard in the show to become a lawyer. And so, while we're falling in love on the show, she's also got to wrestle with the fact that, that I got into this job without doing half the work that she's going to have to do to get to where she's at. So that's a big part of the third season.
And do you have a conflict with Gabriel?
Consistently and always,
Right, so
on and off the spectrum.
That's the conflict.
We have just reached a conflict at the end of the first season where I've really betrayed Harvey's trust, his character, Harvey Specter. I've betrayed his trust significantly, and that's one thing that you don't do to him for that character. Trust is everything. So when you come and find us at the beginning of the third season, we're two people who are very much at odds, and this bromance that has sort of been a big part of the show is really a risk.
Do you like your character?
Oh, I love her. I mean,
You don't have to like her, right? I mean,
I don't have to. I think there's something with any character that you play. You just want to find something that you connect to about them, and you don't have a judgment about it. But I happen to really love Rachel. I love how ambitious she is and savvy, and yeah, she sort of becomes someone that I could see as a friend, which makes it a lot sweeter to play.
You like your guy?
I do, yeah. I admire him.
He's a fraud.
Yeah, he's a fraud, but he's somebody I think who kind of embodies the American dream in some small way. You know, you have people who drop out of school. You have the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. You have guys who have really like, Steve Jobs, people who have done remarkable things without sort of playing the game as it's supposed to be played necessarily and going through school. So I think that there's something really rewarding about playing somebody who didn't take the typical path, but who cares just as much about what he does and doing it properly. And you know, now the show is really about finding out how he is going to legitimize what he's doing.
Does everyone get along on Suits?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what people really feel about our show, is that the chemistry that we all have off camera just translates.
Is that important?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, I think that people are always trying to figure out the alchemy of what makes a great show and why it's successful. I think it's almost impossible, but the one key ingredient is you've got to have people who respect each other and get along. I don't think you always have to get along. You can have disagreements, but you have to be able to enjoy each other and support each other's decisions.
And it's always got to be on the page, right? It's still the script.
It's still the script. Though we do have we take some liberties with that and ad-lib and play around a lot. Yeah, and the writers.
Yeah, it's a big part of the show. The culture of the show is us getting to play. Yeah.
Wow. You're from Toronto, right?
I am, yes, born and raised.
The two of you play, you played together before, right?
So we did this pilot called Good Behavior, where I played twins, and Meghan was the love interest for one of the twins.
Are you single?
I am not. I am not
sure?
married, but not single.
You're start me again.
I'm not married, but I'm not single. Right? That's the matter.
You're with
I have
someone.
a girlfriend, but we're not married.
I see.
She's on another television program.
So the two of you are not involved off the show?
No.
No.
That would never work.
So why is there so much chemistry here?
I think because we knew each other
sensing
early
something.
on. You're picking up on something.
Well, I think TV sees us a certain way, right? We've done this show for ABC years ago, and very similarly, my character was polished, and he played this sort of rough around the edges guy. Suits, same sort of thing. So I think
we were in a situation too when we worked together the first time. There was that like uncomfortable getting to know each other's stuff, and then this time going into it, we realized like we have to get to know each other and become friends very quickly. So
Is your girlfriend in the business?
she is. She's on a show called Pretty Little Liars over down in Los
Everything
Angeles.
you deal with is lying here.
What? There's
You
always
play a
lying.
liar.
I have lied. I've not said one true thing in this whole interview.
This whole thing could be.
It's it.
You know
It's
who used to do that? Walter Matthau. He was
Lie
a
in
great
every
friend.
interview?
He would just to make it's a true story. Just to make interviews interesting, he would lie.
Oh, that's
Oh.
good.
So he would tell
Okay.
one guy, "My father came from Poland,
Yeah.
and we were very poor." Another guy said, "I was very rich. I was raised in Illinois." And it would confuse people. Biographers.
Did he do
would
this
go-
to you?
He did. No, he told me that he did it to others.
So he was giving you the straight scoop, but everybody else.
How do
was
I know?
lying.
But I liked him. You had been fired. You get this job. Is there security now in this business? Do you feel secure in an insecure world?
As much as you can, I think. You know, I think, look, this show, we're so lucky that it's doing so well, and I think that we have a few good seasons still in us for this show. So for that, I mean, my God, as an actor, all you want to do is work, and you want to work on good things with good people. So we are pretty fortunate to have that. So I would say, yeah, there's a great sense of security.
But I think at some point, also, if you want to continue to sort of stay present in this kind of work, you never want to get too comfortable. And so there's a part of it that we're secure in this moment right now. I mean, I couldn't pay my rent before I got this job, so that security is nice. But moving forward into other things, there's so many new things that you want to try that if you're not forcing yourself into a zone where you feel a little insecure and a little uncomfortable, then you're probably, not pushing yourself hard enough.
Are you surprised that it's a hit?
Yeah, how could...
This is such a roll of the dice.
Completely. I mean, you just never know. Just like the pilot that we had done years ago together, or the countless other pilots that I had done that never got picked up. You really don't know, no matter how good the script is. So.
And not only here, we both traveled around the world to do press for this show. So to go to different, Meghan was in Hong Kong last year. I was in Singapore and Malaysia and the Philippines.
Shows all
so
over.
everywhere, South Africa. So it's amazing to see people from different cultures and different places that relate to the show about, people working in a law firm in New York. And I think that's a testament to it's really not about it being a law show, but it's about being characters in a working environment.
And the writers, directors let you ad-lib?
They do, which is, I mean, it's so great to have that
Kind
sort
of
of freedom.
strange, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's strange. It's just sort of, it's fun,
not a lot of shows.
it's a nice
I think
luxury.
there's an inherent trust that, like, when we're on set, we'll always do it the way that it's written, but sometimes when you're on set, you're finding, there's maybe a funnier way of doing this, or maybe we can get at the same thing by saying something a little different, and so they let us try it.
Do you learn a lot about the law doing this? Do you have a legal advisor?
You know, on set we don't.
No.
We have
So
one
even
guy.
that's a fraud.
Yeah.
There's no legal advisor.
If you're
Yeah.
looking for a show that's an accurate portrayal of law, Suits is probably not the place to be turned.
When you have to deal with law terminology, is that hard?
No, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I have fun. And every time that comes up, I feel like I learn a little bit about the law. And I can definitely approach cases that are out in the public with a little. I take more interest in them now because I try and understand what's really happening. But
So you
that's
know
more
about
appreciative.
affidavits and discovery and tort and
Tort law,
summons
yes.
and
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think there are a few moments in our show where we've even almost changed the U.S. Constitution to support a plot line. So this is where I'm saying we've just sort of carefully.
Does it ever get really serious? Do you ever defend a murderer?
Well, that's
Yeah,
funny you bring that
that's
up. In this season, we're dealing with a case that I think is by far the most serious case we've dealt with, which is a woman who owns a big oil company that gets wrapped up in a murder case overseas, and so yeah, we're defending a fairly
Is that a
serious
stretch?
situation. You know, I think to a lawyer watching the show, they'd think it was a little bit of a stretch. I think there are going to be a lot of things in it that people say, well, that's not how that would work. And obviously a case like that would drag on for years. You know, but on our show, I think it's about how it affects the characters that you know. And that, I
Right.
think, makes it real for
Like
people.
Perry Mason, all cases
Exactly.
are 1 hour.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Meghan, you are a calligrapher?
I used to be, yes. That was, I went to all-girls Catholic school. Handwriting class was one of those
And
lost
how do
arts.
calligraphers get paid? I mean, who employs calligraphers?
You know, it's
Wedding
funny.
reception people?
Absolutely. Wedding reception people.
Yes,
also,
please let her do it.
Oh, no.
Check this out.
Write
This is-
something. You can use my name or anything you want. Just
I don't write things down in front of her anymore because I'm embarrassed
I
of
don't
how
know.
beautiful.
Do you have a side talent?
I'm a photographer, I do all
Oh.
sorts of things, but nothing as impressive as this.
Are you an amateur photographer?
I would say, you know, borderline amateur professional. I have a lot of gear. I love to shoot. I shoot nonstop, but I don't make money doing it. But I did survive as a young actor taking headshots.
Oh.
Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, I shall.
Oh, do tell.
It's out of nowhere.
But that, I mean, you
Here, let
you
me
have the
write-
right
now let
pen
me-
and
I'm
you
gonna
do
write
the
the
right
same
thing.
thing for you,
Actually,
just to
Patrick has
give you a
really
sense
cool
of what
handwriting,
it is.
though.
Oh, my day is made.
Larry.
You want to go pick the furniture?
Let's do that. Paint colors, swatches.
So that's what happens when a 4-year-old writes the same thing.
He loves Larry King. Now we have a problem. This is a different kind of triage. Did you ever think of leaving the business?
Yes.
There are so many disappointments.
Regularly. It's a very
What
difficult
kept you
business.
going back? You get rejection. Rejection is part of the game, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what keeps you in it, though, too. There's that part of you that, like, every time you get rejected, there's a little part of you that's like, well, I need to prove that, like, these people aren't right about me. But it's also just the love of the game, you know? I love being an actor. I love acting. And so even when I wasn't being paid well for it, I was still doing it. Still doing theater. I was still producing theater, still directing theater. So at some point, you just start laughing at the rejection, and then something changes.
But I also think all things considered, we're so lucky because some people are trying to do this for 20 years and still waiting tables. You know, this has been it feels like a slow burn, but really in the grand scheme of things, doing this for 6, 7 years and then having a show like this with this level of success is crazy. Someone had said to me a long time ago, don't give it 5 minutes if you're not going to give it 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say that 5-year mark, I was really
Close.
eager. Yeah, I was
You
gonna be
waited
doing
on
calligraphy.
tables?
I didn't actually. I did this. You know, wearing a little white tube sock on your hand, writing things out.
That's my
You
favorite.
ever sell your photos?
Yeah, I've sold a bunch of photos, and I'm in the process of doing my first show, which I'm going to do up in Toronto. So,
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a whole different process. Usually my photos have just been for me, my family, my friends, and then I got to a point where I had amassed this just huge collection of photography. Most of my photography now, because I'm on set, is with my phone. You know, these phones.
They
have
say that
made-
that's now the best camera, the i5.
Yeah, it's a
Great
great
picture
camera.
quality.
You know, it does
It's a great
amazing
camera.
things. I mean, it's a great camera because it's the camera you have in your pocket. I love shooting with a Hasselblad, but I carry this thing around and it's a tank. You know, so it really just depends what you're shooting and where you are.
How did you become a calligrapher?
You know, actually, it's funny. My girlfriend from college, I'd written a thank you note to her mom after staying with them for Thanksgiving, and her mom called me and said, you know what, I'm doing a dinner party. Can you do the place cards? And what I soon realized about calligraphy is it's its own advertisement, right? Because one person sees a place card and says, who wrote that? Or one person gets a thank you note. And so,
Was this natural? You always had a good handwriting?
yeah, I mean, I was fortunate to have pretty good handwriting and then monetized it for a bit.
Do people recognize you on the street now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Is
game
that
has changed.
heartwarming? What's that like?
The word for it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's so flattering. It's so lovely, and at the same time, I think it's the eye opener that our lives have really changed. You know, to go from having some anonymity to now, the privacy is gone. But it's great that the show is so successful, and that's part of what comes with it.
It's also like we're not at that stage where it gets in the way. You know, you're not Brad Pitt. You're not walking down the street and people aren't mobbing you. It's just right now. It's just people who kind of come up once in a while and go, oh, "We really love the show. Thank you so much."
You have guest stars appear on the show, right?
Yeah.
Great guest stars. We've
Like,
Michelle Fairley.
Do you watch Game of Thrones? We have a ton of Game of Thrones people this year. Well, a ton. Two is a
A
lot to get
ton
from
of
one
them.
show. So we're just poaching their cast, apparently. And then along the way, I mean, who else have we had? Eric Close. We get just terrific actors, people who just fit the parts so well.
anyone you'd love to work with?
Oh my goodness, so many on the show or otherwise.
I keep trying to get Dustin to come from Luck. Actually, I want to get Dustin Hoffman
That'd
to
be
come
great.
too. Yeah, he's a terrific guy. I think it's going to be a little bit of a hard sell, but I've tried.
But Dustin everything has to be perfect with
Yeah,
Dustin.
it's going
Right?
to be very
Let's
perfect.
do it again.
Our 7-day episode might become a 2.5-week to month-long episode.
I did a movie with Dustin, and 1 hour became 7.
Exactly.
Let's try it this way.
Okay.
Well, and he also loves to tell stories
What?
too. He'll just stop and tell a story, and no crew is going to go. No, we don't have time for this because it's the best old Hollywood story you've ever heard.
Do you take direction well?
I'd like to think so. I grew up in the industry. My dad is a lighting director and just recently retired. So for me, the crew is what I know better than the cast and the actors. So I
You
try
grew
to
up
be
in L.A.?
Yeah, born and raised. So I try
What
to
high school?
Immaculate Heart, right at Western and Franklin, beneath AFI.
Catholic school?
Yes.
They hit your finger with a ruler?
They did not. They were rebellious nuns that were at that school. So it was very different than
You
most
went to normal
public
school in Toronto?
I did normal school.
Well, I don't mean
public
Catholic
school.
schools, abnormal. Active on social media, right? You are you into all that?
I think we're both in the place where we're trying to figure out how it all fits. You can't. I don't know if you can have a hit show these days without being really engaged in that. But on a personal level, it's this thin line of like Meghan was talking about before, is giving up privacy. And so there's this level of you want to support the show and you want to promote the show and you want people to be able to have this sort of intimate way of connecting to us on the show. But then there are times where on your private life, it feels like this is something I don't want to do. So it's hard to
Anything
know.
you can tip us coming up on an upcoming episode? A little hint?
A little.
You know how much
tease.
you've done, right?
Yes, we do 16 episodes in the season, so we're at the 9th right now.
We're starting the 9th, yeah.
Starting the 9th when we come back from hiatus. I
We're
mean,
going to have some surprises.
lots of surprises. I think fans will really enjoy the evolution of Mike and Rachel's relationship. And sort of what happens there.
Okay, we have some social media questions for you. April Squint.
Great
April
name.
Squint.
April
Great
Squint.
name.
April Squint. What has been your favorite scene to film together, and where do you see the characters going? You have a favorite scene?
Gosh, we've had so many. What is your favorite scene? That
I
we've
feel
done
like
together?
saying the last scene of last season. We
gonna watch you
were
five soon.
very intimate in a file room in the office. There was a
It
sex
was
scene.
the
It was the first
culmination of
culmination.
You
what
made
people
love in the
wanted
file
to
room.
see happen between Mike and Rachel, and it happened in a file room.
It happened in a file room. Classy.
And that
right
was
to
your
the end.
favorite scene.
It was my favorite scene because it was the one that scared me the most. Again, going back to what scares you, we were terrified. I had never done anything like that. I don't think you'd ever done
No,
anything like
never.
that. It was a long scene. Not only was it a sex scene in a file room, which would be enough to scare anybody, but right before it, there was a sort of culmination of a lot of the emotional stuff that had happened on the
We
show.
were standing up or on the floor?
We were standing up.
Against the stacks, Larry. I mean, it was,
Yeah, it was for real.
At Kia Keem, Meghan. Oh, by the way, where do you see the characters in 5 years? Let's say the show goes that long. Will they marry?
I think it's a good
I
question.
think that's. I would only imagine that that's what they're going to build towards.
Will he get a degree?
I think that he has to become legitimate somehow, sometime.
At Kia Keem, Meghan is a traveler of the world. Would you come to Indonesia with the Suits cast?
I would love to, of course. I
Never been to Indonesia.
never. No, that would be incredible.
Your
And I'll
show
go
is
with or
big in
without the
Indonesia.
cast. Yes, it's gotten really.
They love you in Indonesia.
Yeah,
We're huge in
apparently.
Indonesia.
Huge in Indonesia.
We play a game called If You Only Knew, okay? Remember your first kiss?
You want me to tell you my first
Yeah,
kiss?
well,
How do I
where
know?
were you?
Tanya was in my backyard. Tanya Luckhart.
Tanya Luckhart.
Tanya Luckhart.
How old were
We
you?
found each other on Facebook recently, actually. Social media bringing
course
people
you did.
together.
How old are
I was probably 13, 14 years
Late.
old. Wow, sorry, Larry.
No, I mean, well,
Take my time. It's
mine
a
was
slow
20.
burn.
And what about you, Meghan?
Joshua Silverstein.
A Jew.
Yes,
One of my people.
part of the tribe.
Here, I haven't had to be in L.A.
It wasn't
Wasn't a Catholic school.
It wasn't a Catholic school. No, Joshua Silverstein. I was 13.
Where was
as
it?
well.
Where did it occur?
It was like a summer camp, and I kissed him.
Summer camp.
You kissed him.
Of course.
Now, he found out what happened to her. Did you find out what happened to Joshua?
No.
You don't know.
I don't know what happened to Joshua.
If you're watching Joshua, this is what you missed. Remember your first audition?
My first audition. Oh wow, that's a great question. I think so. Yeah, it was for Sleepless in Seattle. And it was
Really?
it's what's called a cattle call, which is I wasn't an actor. I didn't know anything they call it when they just put a thing in the newspaper and organized it completely myself. My mom didn't know. It was a great movie. It's very, and Tom Hanks is one of my heroes. But absolutely nothing came of it. But I remember that was the first time I was.
Remember yours, Meghan?
You know, I had a lot of commercial auditions, but my first, when I was really giving this a go, my first audition was for a film called A Lot Like Love, which my friend Lindsay was working in the casting office for, and I went in for a girl that says hi. And I remember going into the director, and literally they're like, "So can you say hi?" And I said, "I can, but I read the script, and I really respond to this character, and I would love to read for that." And I remember they were just like, "Well, this girl is certainly has some
Spunky.
moxie." Yeah,
Did you get the high part?
I did, and then they let me ad lib.
So
and
your first audition, you got the part.
yeah.
Perfect.
Wow. Favorite vacation spot?
Wow. My family has a place just outside Toronto, so it's very close.
Where?
It's just a cottage up in a place called Georgian Bay, and it's beautiful.
I'm going up to Toronto to a lake, Muskoka.
Muskoka.
Yeah, Muskoka. Yeah, it's right near there.
I'm going up there.
Oh, you're gonna have fun.
Yeah, great cottage up
Yeah,
there.
it's
Cottage
beautiful.
country's gorgeous.
What's your favorite vacation?
Oh my goodness, there are so many, but I think one of my favorite places in the world is definitely Buenos Aires, where I lived for a while. And
You lived in Argentina.
I did.
I hear that's a great city.
it's a great city. It feels very European, but it still has that South
told that.
American sensibility and love
Paris
of
of
life.
South America.
That's exactly it.
See, I know these things. Best date night.
At this point in the middle of a show, it's something really remarkably boring, like staying at home and watching a film, because we are so busy that we
It's
never
true.
get any time
you
to do
want?
anything.
You have one?
Dream date night. Yeah, you know, I kind of agree. Just the idea of staying in, cooking something delicious, watching something great on TV, and doing a lot of nothing.
Just home folk.
Just good old homebodies.
Thank you, guys.
Great to meet you. Thank
Continued
you.
success.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
The show is Suits. Guests are Patrick Adams and Meghan Markle, and I'm Larry King, and you can follow me on Twitter at King's Things, and join us next time.
Thank you.